what I do is I drive around the state of Georgia and go to Washington and try to educate people on the consequences of illegal immigration. And I normally start out by saying two things, and today's not going to be any different. Right now, while we are here on this absolutely gorgeous Georgia morning, there are Border Patrol agents in the desert in Arizona and Texas and New Mexico who are risking their lives to accomplish their sworn duty to secure our borders. And I never, ever want to speak without recognizing the fact that the Border Patrol agents are the unsung heroes in this country. Thank you. I remember where I was a year ago tomorrow. And having been to the border 5 or 6 times, I can tell you that right now, 10 years after the horror of 9/11, people are coming into our country illegally and uninspected from all corners of the world, including from countries with known terrorist ties. So when you hear the term illegal immigration, please do not only picture in your head someone who comes here from a very, very poor country trying to better their life and is willing to cut your grass for $10 an hour. Illegal immigration is a crime, and it is a threat to this country. I was taught as a child of the 60s that justice in America is an equal application of the law and that no one is above the rule of law in this country. I am taught that the fundamental duty of the federal government of the United States of America is to secure our borders. If they don't secure our borders, what else are they good for? I'm really, really big on sustainable, reasonable levels of immigration. I'm going to get to that in a moment. But one of my biggest concerns, and one of the reasons that I quit my business and I do what I do, is that I can see our country slipping away from us. And I can see the one thing that binds together one of the most diverse nations on the planet. So part of my agenda is this. I believe that English should be the common and official language of the United States of America, and I don't care who knows it. I thought so. Thank you. Now, I came here, and there's a couple of thank yous that I have to do. How many people know that in this last session in the Georgia legislature that we passed and Governor Deal signed into law a bill called House Bill 87, the Georgia Illegal Immigration Reform and Enforcement Act? Well, the entire Georgia legislature worked very, very hard against millions of dollars worth of lobbying from people who wanted to stop the state of Georgia from enforcing the immigration and employment and benefits laws that our federal government is refusing to do. I urge you to please insist that the law we all worked so hard on in the Capitol this last session is enforced to the very, very letter of the law. The United States of America takes in more real, legal immigration than any nation on this planet. We take in more than 1 million real, legal immigrants a year. 1 million. Traditional levels of immigration are around 250 to 300,000. We also take in more than 1.5 million guest workers. The people who lobby against enforcing our immigration laws are doing so for the dollar. Please remember that. When we go to the Capitol and we go into committee and we say, Mr. Chairman, here's a reason we should pass this law, it's not just the ACLU that lobbies against us. A lot of people don't want to hear this, but I'm telling you, it was the Chamber of Commerce and the agriculture industry who put up the biggest and most effective fight for us to get our bill through. We cannot honor real, legal immigrants unless we enforce the law that says you just can't come here when you want to. If we do not enforce our employment laws when we have soaring unemployment, if we allow illegal labor to be hired while there are Americans and real legal immigrants standing in the unemployment line, we are not fulfilling the duties that we were given as citizens. I plead with you to note what any candidate says that's running for President of the United States on immigration, because immigration is not, repeat, not a separate issue from most other issues in this country. It's not a separate issue from education. It's not a separate issue from health care. It's not a separate issue from the budget dollars, your taxes. The governor of Georgia is using a figure of $2.4 billion that Georgia spends every year to educate, provide health care and incarceration to people who have no business to be here and their children. I am pleading with you to please pay attention in the presidential elections and make the candidates say this: I will never, ever again allow a legalization program by any name to legalize people who are here illegally. The answer is that we enforce the law and we watch people go home because they can't get a job, they can't get a benefit, and they can't get a service. I'm going to close with this. Tomorrow is the 10th anniversary of 9/11. Right now we take in 1 million immigrants a year and another 1.5 million guest workers. Now the jobs report that came out September 2nd showed 0 jobs growth. 0. It is very clear to anybody with the sense that God gave a crook neck squash that Obama has to go. I plead with you to replace him with someone who pays attention to the immigrant and honors immigration and enforces our immigration laws. And remember this, 10 years after 9/11, the people coming into this country on a visa are not monitored. We do not now have, even 10 years after 9/11, a system in place in the greatest country in the world that monitors when people leave this country. Once you get a visa to come to the United States, unless you rob a bank or get convicted of murder or rape, your chances of getting arrested and shipped out of the country are practically nil. I am in great envy and appreciation of everybody who is a member of a Tea Party and will come out here on a Saturday morning or meet on a Tuesday night on your own because you're trying to save the country that was passed on down to us. I plead with you to remember that immigration and illegal immigration are as much a part of what we need to pay attention to as any other issue, and I plead with you to remember that in the presidential election. I'm very grateful for your time, and I want to tell you this. Right now we have somewhere between 12 and 20 million people in this country who are here in violation of our law. When I started this, I went to the Georgia Capitol and I watched about 250 illegal aliens march in front of the Capitol, waving flags from a foreign country, demanding a Georgia driver's license, demanding that we make them legal, and demanding the right to vote. Now I'm going to tell you something. Last month, the month before, there were 10,000 illegal aliens marching in front of the Georgia Capitol, making the same demand that we make them legal and give them the right to vote. Remember this, if a president of any party legalizes the people here in this country, it will be the largest addition to the progressive far-left Democrat voting rolls that you have ever seen in your life.
SecularStupidist.com, Conservative.com, RightOsophy.com.